Ed Kemper was a serial killer also known as the Co-Ed Killer. He is one of the few cases in American history who had been incarcerated for killing someone, released, and would go on to commit a series of murders. Kemper was born 18th of December 1948 in California. His parents had a volatile marriage which ultimately ended in divorce. Kemper was raised by his mother, who he had a deeply conflicted relationship with. Kemper's childhood is littered with humiliation, verbal abuse, forced isolation as he was made to sleep in the basement, and an intense resentment for his mother as she was particularly hostile to men. In early adolescence, Kemper displays violent fantasies, is socially isolated, shows early signs of severe antisocial behaviour, and starts being cruel to animals. In 1964, at the age of 15, he commits his first murder. While staying at his paternal grandparents', Kemper shoots his grandmother, then goes on to stab and shoot his grandfather before returning home. He'd later confessed to he committed the murders because he wanted to know what it felt like to kill. Kemper was arrested and diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he's later committed at Scudero State Hospital. Here he demonstrates highly manipulative and intelligent behaviour. He also gains access to the library and learns the answers to all the psychiatric questionnaires. He also learns the subsequent terminology which would make him appear that he's rehabilitated. The 18th of December 1969, on his 21st birthday, Ed Kemper was released from psychiatric hospital. Against the recommendations of psychiatrists, however, he was released back into the care of his mother. By this time, she had remarried and become divorced and took a different second name. It is within a few years of his release that he would start the Co-Ed killings. Between May 1972 and April 1973, Ed Kemper would go on to kill 6 women. He used to be college students hitchhiking near Santa Cruz. He would often use his soft demeanour and high intelligence to gain the trust of his victim before handcuffing them, kidnapping, usually stabbing them and strangling them to death. He would take the victims back to his mother's house. There was a clear escalation in the mutilation later on, and even beheaded some of the victims. The final victim was murdered on April 20th, 1973, and it would be his mother. He waited for her to fall asleep, then crept into her room with a claw hammer and bludgeoned her to death. He then decapitated her and continued to abuse her corpse. He then placed the head on a shelf, screamed at it and threw darts at it. He would later cut out the tongue and try and dispose of it down the sink. After the murders, he'd drive 1,000 miles in his car, pull over to a phone booth and confess to the crime. He was arrested and charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. 3 court-appointed psychiatrists would find him legally sane. In 1974, he sentenced to life in prison without parole. The request for death penalty is denied.